right. We're here. Thanks, Simon, for the little poke. We're just going to do another quick one. I want to talk, just do the Spring Cloud config server and Spring Cloud config client, and let's just get into it. So I'm going to use the new cool Spring CLI because it's awesome. I'll give you a show. You might recognize it as a Spring Shell app. I'm going to move my mic here a little bit, and we're going to do initializer new up here. We're going to create a new project, and we're going to first do config server. So this is going to make a directory on my local machine. Let's go do it in Cradle Java 3.10. I'm going to take some defaults, and I'm going to add. These are just the dependencies. So it's just using Spring initializer. I'm going to add some dependencies. So this one, we're going to do the server. And of course, we always do the Spring Boot actuator. Let me just slide down here. I like this interface. This is great, especially for this kind of stuff. We're going to build a jar, not war. And there we go. So now let's go into, actually, let's go ahead and build the client as well. So I'm just going to hit the up arrow, initializer new. And I'm going to say config client. So we don't have to come back here. We're going to do Gradle, Groovy. We're going to do Java 3.10. Take some defaults. And this time, instead of doing the config server, we're going to do the config client. And we're going to do Spring Boot actuator, of course. And I'm also going to add just the web. There, actuator. I think it's web. There we go. Spring web. Done. All right. And jar.war. Boom. So now I got my two projects. So I can quit here. Let's go into config server first. Let's open it up in my favorite IDE. And we're just going to do a few things. So the whole idea is I need configs first. So whether I'm working locally or in Kubernetes or in Docker or whatever, I like to have configs. And I would like to be able to move it around the different environments. So this is what I do. So our project initializer created this great project. We don't have to do a whole lot. All we're going to do is enable config server. I feel like that's all I need to do. And then in the resources, I like to have my configs stored in place, not my secrets. Secrets in a different place. Configs, I'm going to go ahead and put them into Git. Nothing secret. It's just config. Hey, what port or what username or what things do I want turned on by default? So we're going to do this. We're going to say spring.cloud.config.server.git.uri equals. We're going to use this simple config server. So it's just git dev.deshawn.config. Let's get back into IDE. HTTPS github.com Deshawn. Feel free to use this on your project to get you started. Config.git. That's it. So my config server is going to go pull those configs in that are in that public Git repository, and it's going to use those configs for anything that connects to this config server. So that's all I need to do. So now let's go down here. Maybe by default, well, let's start on the right port. Let's just do it. Server.port. We want 8888 for config server. Cool. Now let's go down here and just do Gradle W boot run. And hopefully that'll start up on port 8888. Good. So now I have a config server. We can go take a look here. I gave it the actuator. So let's go to localhost 8888 actuator health. It's up. Fantastic. All right, now let's go to the config client. Let's drop here config client via this thing. So now we're in a different project. This is the client. This is whatever it needs to be, that it's a client It's just consuming that config server. So that when this thing starts up, it's going to get its configs from that config server that we stood up, and that config server is referencing that Git repository that we pointed it to. So this could be anything, but right now it's just a simple app. So I'm going to do this. I'm not going to configure the server first. So I'm going to do this. Wait, I'm going to show it. It's going to tell me what I need to do. I'm going to show you. Gradle W boot run. It's going to say, hey, man, like you didn't import anything, and I kind of want you to import anything. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to say, you know what? You don't have to import anything. You don't have to. So you can start. So I changed my application properties, and I just said, hey, don't worry about that import check. So now I've got something up and running on 8080. And let's go take a look. Here's the config server. Let's say localhost 8080 actuator health. And it's up. What else do we have? Actuator AV? No. Endpoints? No, I don't have anything else because they're disabled by default. But here, if I point to my config server, then I'll get these defaults. It'll say, hey, let's make everything enabled by default. So let's go do that. Let's change this to Spring Cloud config. Let me go back and look. I don't remember it. I want import. It was optional config server, and boom, fill in localhost 8888. That's what I'm doing, except I don't want this. So now I'm saying, hey, I do want configs. Go ahead and check for it. It might be there, they might not, but check this URL, localhost 8888. So let's do this. Let's stop. Let's run it again. Oh, what did I do wrong? Spring config. Oops. Maybe it was just that. Let's see. Good morning. And the sound's still great. Thank you. Yes, I did figure out the problem. Karen Beer, how can we encrypt our properties using Spring Cloud? That's a great question. Maybe I'll have time to do that. So here's the thing. Your follow-up question, is Vault the only option? I don't want your secrets to be next to your configs. I don't want your secrets to be next to your configs. So the place where you're filling in a default property name or default port, not really a secret. Separate. Put that in your Git repo. But your secrets, like your Azure credentials for your cloud, I want those in Vault. I want those someplace else. Now, they don't have to be in Vault. There's other ways. You can do like the signed sealed secrets if you're running in Kubernetes. But I'm doing this demo because I like to have these patterns that I can take across my local environment, my Kubernetes, my Docker, my Knative. I want to have something that I can use everywhere. So even though I could use config maps in Kubernetes, I can still use config server, and I can still use config client, and I can still have them served as config maps in Kubernetes. But by using these tools from Spring Boot, Spring Cloud framework, I can have the same experience whether I'm doing local development or whether I'm in Kubernetes or in Azure or wherever. So Vault's not the only option. There are others. But yeah, maybe I'll get into that. I'm going to try to keep this short. But I'm glad you're here. I really am glad that you're here. Thank you so much for joining. Simon, I appreciate you so much. Thanks for always joining. You are such an amazing member of this community. And I'm glad you're here. So we started up, and now the thing that I want to show is we started up and we said, hey, it says right here, it says, I'm fetching my config from localhost 8888, our server that we started up a little bit ago. So what I expect is that when I go here, it didn't work. What I expected was, hey, that's up. I expected to have my other management endpoints. Endpoints enabled by default true. Health show details always show. Components always. Web exposure include star. Did that happen? It should have happened. Am I not doing this right? Oh, there. So maybe I had the endpoint name wrong. So env wasn't there before, and now it is enabled. So yay. So that's an example of my application. I'm not putting things into my application properties. The only thing I really want in my application property is like spring.application.name. Yeah, service one. And where am I getting my configs? How am I getting my configs? That's really the only thing that I want here in my application properties. What I don't like, just a personal preference, is I don't like having a bunch of application properties in my code that has different properties for different environments, like an application properties test, an application properties config, or prod, and application properties stage, etc. I want those in my Git repo. And that's it. That's the demo. That's all I wanted to show. Anbu, man, everybody is showing up. This is great. I'm happy that you're here. I'm trying to do a little bit at a time. And I'm just kind of going from other conversations that I've had during the day, pack it up, make it something small, and deliver it. So what I was doing tonight is just an example of Spring Cloud Config Server and how easy it is. Flip back over there, right? How easy it is. All I said is, hey, I want to point to a Git URI. I'm going to start up on port 8888. We can kind of see all the stuff that it was asking for. And then, yeah, do the thing. That's where it's getting its configs. Its configs, they're super simple. They look a lot. They could be properties files. Let me do this. I could go here. Let's do this example. So let's change the name of my config client. I changed it to service one. So let's go into here into my config, and I'm just going to add a file. This is my interface for my configs, right? I create a new file. It's in Git. It's versioned, and I can do this. So I'm going to call it service1.properties. And if I wanted to give service one its own properties, I would do this, right? Boom. So now I have a service one.properties commit. Cool. And now I'm going to go over here and I'm going to stop this. And I'm going to say Gradle boot run again. It's going to do the thing. But while that does that, I'm going to actually just go over here and I'm going to ask. Actually, no, I'm going to restart my config server. I'm going to say, hey, config server. Let me do this real quick. I'm going to say, hey, config server. I'm just restarting it just because there's a restart endpoint or a refresh endpoint that I don't know off the top of my head. So I'm just restarting. So I'm going to go here. I restarted it. So now it says, hey, let me go look at that Git repository. That Git repository now has a service1.properties. So now if I go here, config client, and I ask, so now I don't need config client. I'm going to ask that config server for service one defaults. And it's going to show me all the properties that it's going to give to anything called service one. Is it going? Oh, that's config client, config server. I'm going to keep it short. Yeah. What's happening? Service one. Did I do something wrong? Oh, there we go. So it pulled in its properties. Now, what I want you to look at here is it pulled in that property from that service1.properties file. So what I wanted to show was that the files that I have in here, they're just your regular application.yaml type files or application.properties type files that you're already used to, but you can assign them in different ways inside of the Git repository. Always an educated and relaxing way to start the day. Simon, I appreciate you so much. So that's it. That's all I wanted to show. To Karen Beer, I want to say, just remind you, refresher, secrets and configs, put them in different places. You can encrypt, and there's different ways of encrypting, but I want you to keep them in separate places. And yeah, if you're interested, maybe I'll do a vault example later. But for now, that's all I want to do. Thank you for joining. If you liked it, tell your friends to hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you soon. Thanks. Bye.